refreshed after getting lunch. Thanks for joining. So this next talk track, we're going to hear from Erik Hanson on automation for developers. We're talking about, Erik is a senior software developer with 6 years of experience at Lippert Automotive and enjoys 3D printing, home theater, and PlayStation gaming. I will leave it up to Erik to give you a full bio.
Hello, everyone. All right, so welcome to Meet Magento. I'm glad to be speaking here. First time attending one of the Meet Magento conferences, so really excited. I'm Erik, senior software developer at Lippert Automotive. I've been in development for decades, but working on Magento for the last 6-7 years. Our specific storefront is aftermarket automotive, so towing, truck accessories, Jeep accessories, things like that. The parent company is Lippert Components, which Miles, my coworker, spoke about earlier. They cover RV, marine, housing products, all kinds of stuff. We're very proud of our company's culture, the ability for us, he and I, to come and speak, kind of give back to the community, share some of the things that we're working on as a merchant. So our storefront handles, we're nearing like the 200 million range in revenue. We get 80,000 orders a year. So we're kind of a big volume dealer, all B2B traffic. And probably, I guess I just throw one slide in that probably the one thing that everybody would one of the products that you might have seen, this brush guard on John Dutton's truck in Yellowstone is a ranch hand product. That's one of our product lines. So just kind of orient you to the type of products that are on our site. So our storefront is very complicated, has a lot of custom code. There's a lot of things that are beyond the core Magento features and functionality. And so what can we do to help out with testing, with development, with just managing our store? So let's talk about automation and some of the ways that as a developer, as an agency, as someone who needs to interact with Magento code, how you can get a little bit of consistency. What's going to help you, get some reliability and some consistency with your storefront. So there are many things that you could use, tools. Two of the ones that I picked, and I was telling Miles on reflection that I probably could have split this into 2 talks completely. So we're going to just kind of go a lightning round over each of these and kind of give you a brief overview, hopefully get you inspired to look into other tools, into ways to make your developer's life better. So the first one is consistency and repeatability, right? You want to be able to build up an environment, tear down an environment, whether you're working on one storefront or many, maybe you're an agency, you need to work on different projects all the time. You want to be able to, have those environments consistent from developer to developer. You want to be able to build them up, tear them down, repair them, that kind of thing. The other reason you would want to automate things is for reliability or strength, right? You want to know that the environment is stable, that you can make changes, that you can go regression when you've made new functionality or changed functionality, and know that it's going to be, you're going to get a good return on all this time that you've invested. And the third one is just quality of life, right? As a developer, you want to reduce frustration. You want to be able to just work on your code that you're needing to accomplish a task or goal and get on with your life. And plenty of other options. So the first tool that I would like to propose that you would research and look into is Lando. Lando is a Docker orchestration kind of abstraction. Here's the marketing, here's the marketing blurb. If you want to look at standardizing, it's built on Docker, Compose, and YAML, so it's pretty consistent tooling. You sort of understand this already. You've probably worked with a lot of these technologies. And it's basically similar to, like a native OS install, or Warden is pretty similar. I would say probably most consistent to Warden. But one of the cool things that it has is that it integrates with other tooling. If you have other things like, we have a Laravel application that does a lot of middleware. Lando supports Laravel and Pantheon, Acquia Cloud, WordPress. There's lots of other functionality that you could bring in and tool with Lando. So I wanted to give you just the most basic, quick introduction of how to stand up Lando, how to stand up Magento. You don't have to look at this. If you understand it, it's fine, but I'll have a slide at the end that has a QR code. You can get all this source code and everything. But I picked a basic Magento template, a basic GitHub repo that has a Magento template that has Lando, that with 7 or 8 commands and 12 minutes of work, you can stand up a working, functional Magento storefront on Luma with very little effort, and it's gonna be consistent. If you're gonna onboard new employees, they're gonna be able to build this, and you can put all this configuration into your code very quickly and easily. This particular repo works with open source, Magento Commerce, or I'm working on a pull request that I'm gonna commit to add support for MageOS as well. So let's see. So here are the results of the output that you get. It's very similar. If you've worked with Warden, you're gonna see a lot of consistency there, where it's gonna do all the work in connecting to Docker Compose, gonna build all the containers. In this particular case, it has Elasticsearch, it has Nginx, it has Node.js, it has a couple other application containers and volumes that are all kind of built up. Database, everything's included, all out of the box. The next screenshot is showing you just the standard Magento Composer install process, kind of building one more step that every storefront goes through. And then here you go. You have a working Luma storefront. I realized I took the screenshot with like a dark mode plugin, so everything's kind of reverse background. But you get the point, where within 10 minutes or so, you're going to get a working storefront. You didn't have to do a lot of work to customize, right? And I guess if you've never heard this concept before, you want to turn your developer environments from being pets that you carefully feed and you work on them and you carefully craft them. You want to turn them into cattle, right? If something goes wrong, you just start over, you do a Lando rebuild, and you're back to a working condition. So I wanted to go over real quickly just some basics of how the Lando Composer file works. You can see you could set, there's a URL that you can configure. You could have multiple storefronts up and running. You get to pick your PHP version, your database. You can use MySQL, you can use Maria. If you have other projects that aren't Magento, you can use all kinds of other projects as well. Xdebug out of the box. You can set custom configuration with vhosts and Nginx and all that kind of stuff. You can do port forwarding if you have other tooling, internal, external. It can reach out or reach in. And then you can do build commands if you need some custom applications installed, if you need stuff configured in a certain way. It's ready to go out of the box when you're done. And you have custom tooling down at the bottom. You can add in all kinds of third-party commands. You can have mage run N98. You can have bin Magento commands. All this kind of stuff just makes it so convenient for other developers. We have a pretty small team of 3-4 developers, and it's been such a huge improvement for us to be able to consistently have tooling. Everybody kind of knows what commands to run and how to operate things with our storefronts. So the purpose is to make developer setup easy and repeatable with minimal hassle, right? Even if you don't need to onboard a lot of people, maybe you just have a small team, just knowing that you can build your environments quickly and easily is a huge benefit. So I'll kind of quickly go over some of the benefits that I've found. One of the nice ones is that you really don't need a lot of local install, right? You don't have to worry about configuring NPM packages and PHP and database. It's all built into the containers. It's consistent from developer to developer. So you know that, Miles and I are working on a project together. We're not going to have fundamental differences because, he built with a different patch version of PHP than I did, that kind of thing. Yeah, as I talked about, you want to turn your environments into cattle so that you feel comfortable destroying the entire container and starting over. Really, the only difference is, do you want to just rebuild the application code, or do you want to delete the data, the database as well? That's the difference between a destroy and a rebuild. It helps your developers focus on code and not infrastructure and setup. And then there's a lot of really cool things that I liked over picking Warden, say just as like an example, and particularly over other solutions. But we have a lot of custom integrations, ERP, middleware. You can do, there's all kinds of third-party servers, such as like data import processes. You can do mail, code analysis. Your imagination can go wild. You can put a lot of custom tooling. We have all of these installed so that there's a custom command that does the composer install. And if you wanted to run the upgrade compatibility tool, the Magento quality patches, there's all kinds of tooling you can just build in they're consistent for every developer. And then you can integrate it because, from the first bullet point, because there's not a lot of tooling required, you can put this into a CI/CD suite. You can have it run in a GitHub action. There's all kinds of easy things that are built in. So that's developer environments, right? The next one that's really exciting and fun is Cypress, which again, I'll give you the marketing blurb. Cypress is a testing suite for front-end testing. And it basically uses Node.js and JavaScript. If you want, you can go hardcore and use TypeScript, but it's kind of just either or, supports both. And it basically competes with like Selenium, Playwright, or even the Magento functional test suite. But what's cool about it is it has a lot of additional functionality like time travel. You can go back and forth in your tests. It has command logging and really good debuggability, console tools. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I just don't even have time to go into. But trust me when I say there's a lot of really cool features in Cypress. And again, this is like your 3-command starter pack to get into. The good folks at Elgentos, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they actually have a repository that has a bunch of Cypress tests for Magento. And I picked the Luma storefront just because it was consistent with what I was building in Lando. But they also have Huva tests, which is, shout out to Huva, big fan, we're a customer of theirs, and they're an amazing front end. And they have some Luma tests, some Huva tests for Cypress and Magento as well. And again, this, and I don't know, yep. All right, so my little video isn't gonna play. I was gonna show you kind of visually what the test looks like when it's running. So we'll have to stick with screenshots instead, because I didn't set up my slideshow correctly, but that's all right. Oh, there it goes, it's gonna play. Okay, so this is just showing you, this is the Elgentos test suite. It's just showing you going through how Cypress works. It interacts directly with, as opposed to Selenium, which is like WebDriver, which is kind of like abstracting out the commands to a special driver that then talks to the browser. This talks directly to the browsers. And so you can see it's just running some basic test suites, going through the Luma storefront, entering in, directly interacting with text fields. It can interact with elements on the page. It can assert based on what's in the DOM, so you can get all kinds of test assertions and real good confidence in what it's doing. So again, I won't really play through the whole thing, but you can see on the sidebar as the commands go through, it's logging out every post, get, every command that goes through your network tab. It's showing you all the assertions, and it has a command log on the side that you can interact with. Or you can run it headlessly. If you want to run it with CI/CD, has the possibility to run headlessly as well. So you start off with, if you're going to do it in an interactive mode, you start off with the ability to choose what browser. Supports out of the box Chrome and Firefox, and Electron, which is Chromium essentially, is built in out of the box as well. So even if you have like a CI/CD box that doesn't have other browsers, you can do that as well. The next piece I wanted to show you is just the specification list. This is where you get to kind of pick which test suite you want to run. You can run them one at a time in this mode and kind of do a lot of more troubleshooting and debugging. And then this is showing interaction with the DOM. You're going to be selecting, it's kind of an eye chart, so again, look at the end of the slides, there's a QR code to get the presentation itself and links to all the stuff that I'm showing. But in this case, it's showing you the assertion of some elements on the page and making sure that when I've hit extra small purple tank top, that it's showing on this, that the rest of the page is asserting the same way. So it's a pretty cool suite. And this one is showing what happens if there's an error, gives you really good troubleshooting. You get a good assertion of what went wrong, and in this case, it's like doing some search engine results. It didn't get back the result it was expecting, so it throws an error that you could go then troubleshoot, and I'll show you that in a second. And let's see, so some of the cool features of Cypress, again, just high-level overview. You have direct access to, this is just running in the Chromium window, so you have direct access to all your developer tools. You can go into the console, see what objects are loaded, what network traffic. This is just normal Chrome stuff. You also have access to, so in this case, I clicked on, in the time travel, I clicked on one of the elements that got selected. I get a jQuery object, a JavaScript object that I can go interact with, make changes, and it kind of freezes the DOM at that point in time. So pretty cool stuff. Here's a screenshot showing, okay, this is the other cool thing, that Cypress out of the box includes access to the cloud dashboard that Cypress provides. And of course, you can pay and have more history, have more, I think it does a bunch of analysis, AI type stuff of your test results. But in this case, I just wanted to show you that you can build up a suite of tests, even if it's running on CI/CD, if another developer runs it, you get the results that you can, if you wish to, upload to the dashboard, and you can go back and do a bunch of review of screenshots. It takes videos. It has the time travel functionality. All that stuff is built in, whether you run it locally on a developer's machine or in CI/CD or elsewhere. And then the last piece is showing you, oh yeah, so this is showing there's a video that gets recorded, and it basically records all the DOM interactions so that you get the same time travel, you get all the network traffic, all kinds of cool stuff that's just built in out of the box. So again, hopefully this is something that you want to research and look into yourself. And again, it gives you that feeling of, okay, I can go make changes, I can go run my test suite, and I know with confidence that it's going to be what I'm expecting. So in this case, I just wanted to show you, this is just, again, an eye chart of code, but I really just wanted to highlight, this is kind of the basics. It's fairly business-driven type of syntax, right? Like there's describe blocks with tags. You can filter your tests by tag. You can change URLs. So in this case, I have and my IDE did a lot of helping of putting in static values, but these would be dynamic values that I can pass as environment variables, that kind of thing. So in this case, I can change the test to point at different environments, QA, UAT, local environment, production, whatever you like. You can intercept traffic. So, Magento has a lot of AJAX, a lot of calls for blocks, content, pricing, things that you need to wait on. Well, part of the functionality of Cypress is that it has waits built in, and so it's easy to just intercept traffic and wait for that traffic to complete. So, all right. Then the next one is, so our product line is automotive, so there's a lot of fitment involved. So this is just highlighting a quick test of selecting your make model, doing some assertion. In this case, I go to a category page in fitment, and I do some deep assertion on an array of products. So you can get real sophisticated, or you can just have it assert that there's, test year, where did I put it? Test year must have a certain number of years, certain number of models, makes, that kind of thing. And then at the end, you get a nice report. I can run, I think I did the math, and this is like a couple hundred test result assertions and test steps, all in about 10 minutes of running. So it's real easy for me to make a major change in my functionality, go back, run this test suite, and be really confident that everything is working as expected, right? I didn't break the code I was working on, and the rest of the site is working as well. So yeah, yeah, exactly. You can run this with CI/CD. You could set this up as part of your deployment pipeline when you deploy to production, when you deploy to UAT. You really want to deliver the best code with the least rework, whether it's a QA team or whether it's your developers getting a bug report. Then for reliability and strength, if you invest, it's just like there was a talk in here about an hour ago about documentation. If you invest the time up front to build a nice test suite, you're going to have that much more confidence that, you do a Magento upgrade. Everybody knows they can be a real bear. There's a lot of change involved and a lot of things that could break. You just run your regression suite, and as long as you haven't changed a lot of the theme, that's probably the only thing that really breaks it, because you have a lot of assertions based, or assertions and things based on selectors, right? And if you make your selectors right, they're irrelevant to the theme. But in this case, you're going to know that you haven't broken a lot of things. And then it lets your developers focus on code, knowing they can quickly come back, regression test, make sure the rest of the site is working as expected and as planned. And I'm probably going to skip. There's lots of, in the slide, you can go through all these. It's just like, this is like the advanced course, right? How to involve other people. If you have a business that's big enough, maybe you have some project managers, people you want to help. There's plugins for business-driven or test-driven development. You can build custom commands. You can integrate with GitHub Actions or Bitbucket pipelines. There's all kinds of stuff in there. But yeah, this is kind of the advanced. And then, yeah, this is kind of the sneak peek that you can integrate with like Percy or visual testing tools. There's just like the opportunities are endless. And so hopefully this is something that inspires you to like, hey, maybe we don't have a good process about onboarding developers, ways to make our environments consistent so that we feel confident that we can destroy them, rebuild them, and they're right back to where they need to be. And that you can test your application suite. Everything is going to be running as expected, whether you make big changes or small changes, or you just want to know that everything is still working properly. You can run a quick suite test. And so that is my talk. Here's my QR code. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Erik. I'd say we have time for one question. If anybody has a question, we have an usher that can come and bring the handheld to you. Any questions? Yep.
How do you handle test flakiness in Cypress? Because we've had problems where tests pass, then fail, then pass and fail.
Yeah. So one of the cool things about particularly when you use their cloud dashboard, that tracks a lot of flakiness, and it gives you a lot of good options to say, oh, this test started failing after this commit, that kind of thing. So that's kind of one direction or aspect of checking for flake. The other one is I've found, honestly, factoring or refactoring my tests so that your assertions are waiting on. So I found it, especially with Magento, there's a lot of like traffic that happens behind the scenes. It isn't really visible. And so I found finding the right selector of the right, okay, this GET request has to finish before this data is available to the rest of the application. And so, crafting a selector that waits for that to finish has made my tests a lot less flaky. Just because, again, with a lot of other tooling, you have to wait, okay, it's a certain number of seconds, or, it's very difficult to find out what you need to know in order for your test to pass. And I still find sometimes it's flaky just because the application was, if you saw on some of the screenshots, you can give it a maximum time and it'll retry until the maximum time is reached. Some environments are just slower than others, like a local dev might be really slow. And so that's, you try as best you can to get rid of flake. But yeah, that's the best thing that I've found, is just craft good selectors that wait for the right thing, that Magento has passed the right information back to the DOM. So. And yeah, I'll be around if anybody wants to chat it up. happy to share, and hopefully everybody's inspired to go research some solutions of your own.
Thank you, Erik. I can attest he's a friendly guy, so ask him some questions outside.